What is going on, Clemson Tiger Nation? Lawton Swan with you. Hope you're doing well. Happy Sunday morning. Sunday morning. 12:42 in the PM as we kick this thing off after the Clemson Tigers 37-13 victory on the road in Winston-Salem. I'll give you some time to share and like and do all that stuff and get more people in the building. We've got live audio coming up here on the program. Well, audio coming up here on the program. It was live a few minutes ago. Tony Elliott saying that he is proud of the team getting to this point. And, you look at this Clemson Tiger team, the expectations really of the college football world kind of fell on their shoulders during the offseason. And here they were finally getting a chance to get out there and really showcase what they could do. So what we're going to do is just give people a few more minutes to get in. You want to leave your comments, your thoughts about the game? We'll pop them up on the screen. I'm actually getting ready to drop in a story right now over on our Facebook page. So if you want to share that story out, it's got the full audio from Tony Elliott. Some people would say that's twice as interesting as me. I digress, but and I disagree. But overall, I thought the performance tonight from Clemson's perspective, especially really in the first half, and I kind of asked Trevor Lawrence about this after the ball game, about the drive just before the half. Now, Clemson only got a field goal there, but one of the things you cannot simulate, one of the things that you can't simulate in practice is the actual in-game scenarios and the pressures that come along with it. Yeah, you could say, okay, here's the down and distance, here's what you got to do with it. But you know what? Ultimately, what's going to happen? You're going to have to run some gassers. You're going to have to, you're going to have to run some wind sprints if you don't hit it. I mean, it's not like you have the real pressure of, okay, if you don't pull this off, you're in trouble. And I think, to a degree, that may be one of the more impressive drives of the day for me was what Clemson did right before the half. Ending up with a field goal and moving the ball down. I think they moved the ball about 31 yards, if my memory serves me correctly, on that drive. Checking the notes here. 6 plays, 31 yards in 49 seconds. They got a 52-yard field goal from B.T. Potter. Would have been good from 62 yards. But those are things that you can't simulate. And you can't simulate the pressure, even with nobody in attendance. And Tony Elliott told us, he said, I told the guys before the game, he said, this is a little bit like Little League. This was before there were fans in the stands. This was before there were a ton of people that really cared about what you could do and how you would do and how you would play. So from the Clemson standpoint, if you will, I think given what we saw across the landscape of college football today, the fact that you saw so many teams like Iowa State ranked inside the top 25 who just really struggled, I think, in part. Kansas State, another team with Arkansas State, struggled in part. And even though Kansas State, I don't know about the social distancing protocols in the state of Kansas, but if I'd have been standing in that crowd, I'd have been tapping my heels together like Dorothy saying, there's no place like home. Get me back to some social distancing. Did you see Manhattan, Kansas? Good gravy. That didn't look good at all. Like, I'm thinking to myself, you guys do know we're trying to get a college football season in. I mean, if your goal is to not get it in, then congratulations. Congratulations, Kansas State. You guys have been successful. I mean, that place was absolutely packed.
I'll knock your brains out if you had any.
Spread out, people. Right, exactly. Good gravy. All right, so Clemson again, up 27-0 at the half. Very much in control in this ball game. They give up a couple of field goals there in the second half, one right out of the gates to Wake Forest, and ultimately Clemson finishes things 37-13. You got to see DJ Uiagalelei come out as the number 2 quarterback. Asked Tony Elliott about that decision, and he really deferred that to Brandon Streeter. We also didn't get to hear from some of the young, talented defensive line prospects like Brian Brzee, who had his first career sack, and, of course, Miles Murphy and the job that those guys did up front. I think if you are a offensive coordinator in the Atlantic Coast Conference or at South Carolina or any school that's got to play against Clemson at some point in the very near future in the next 3-4 years, you're looking at the roster and going, holy smokes, I don't want any of that action, boss. I mean, it's going to be something to see. So here's Tony Elliott. We heard from him We'll play a little bit of the audio with Tony. One of the things that was really unique tonight, too, before we get into my final few notes here and some audio from Tony Elliott, Travis Etienne, and Trevor Lawrence, is the fact that I don't know if it's the new situation, but I can tell you this, man. When we normally get the post-game stuff, it is like crazed dogs trying to get your questions in. Tonight, I felt like at times I might be the only person in attendance. Like, they say, do you have any questions for Tony Elliott? Dead air. I'm like, well, okay, well, I'll start asking some questions if you guys want the questions. So that's the way it was. A couple of times I had to start the conversations, which didn't bother me. But here's what Tony Elliott had to say after I asked him about Clemson's start to the season offensively and just where this team is as a whole at this point.
Just proud of getting to this point. I thought the guys worked really, really hard this offseason. You saw it early on, outside of that first drive, just a couple of early mishaps, but I thought the first unit did a good job of taking control of the game quickly. We were able to throw the ball, run the ball effectively early on. Didn't quite finish the runs, from the running back perspective. I thought that we got tackled too easily, a little bit in the open field, but I thought for the most part, Trevor was sharp. Offensive line, other than the one time that first sack, not going to put that on the offensive line. Quarterback's got to get rid of that ball. They did give up there in that two situation, but overall, I'm pleased with the effort. Obviously, I'm going to look at the film, evaluate the details, but I thought it was a good positive start for our older guys and a good learning opportunity for our young guys. They got to be ready when the numbers call.
Tony, this is Gene in Charleston. Can you talk about Travis Etienne's ability to get yards after contact? I know that's been a thing of his for a couple of years, but how has that kind of improved and evolved over the years?
All right, you broke up a little bit. Looks like a technology issue. Can you repeat the first part of that question?
Etienne with his yards after contact. Can you just discuss how that's improved over the years?
For the most part, he's been doing that since he has a knack. That's just part of his running style. He runs about 205 pounds with his explosion and just his unwillingness to go down. He's got great contact balance. That allows him to break some plays. There were a couple opportunities in this game that I thought that first counter, if he gets his feet up a little bit better, he breaks that one. And there was one in the open field. I think it was a third down. He and I talked. He was thinking more along the lines, hey, let's just move the chains. Take the base hit, but I thought he could have had an opportunity there to make the safety miss. But a lot of that is natural. I think that as he's gotten a little bit stronger, it just comes a little bit easier. But he's always been he showed up. He's had that ability, and I think it just comes from the style of being so fast, so explosive, great vision, and he has probably the best contact balance of any guy that I've coached.
Tony, this is Matt Connolly with the State. Do you have an update on Lindsay and why he didn't play at all tonight?
Yeah, Lindsay was good to go, but told him coming off of that knee that it would be a situation. We had the young backs ready to go. That's been ready to go, very deserving of an opportunity, and just didn't want to risk it. He was ready to go, and as the game, we were able to get control of the game early. I felt like it was best just to take a little bit off that knee. But he was clear to go. He was ready to go. Looked good in warm-ups. He really looked good all week, but just wanted to play it safe with him.
So there you go. For anybody kind of wondering about Lynn J. Dixon and why he wasn't involved in the offense tonight or why he didn't play, it wasn't a discipline issue or anything like that. Just a little bit banged up, and they felt it wasn't necessary to put him out there. And Travis Etienne goes for 106 yards. That's the 18th 100-yard performance for Travis Etienne in his career. That's an all-time mark at Clemson, and we had a chance to ask him about what that meant. That what that record means to him. He's a humble kid. To have that record, but of course, like any great running back, he deferred to the offensive line, which I also asked him about, and we'll play some of Travis Etienne's comments a little bit later, and everything will be on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. If you're watching the show, share the show here tonight. Of course, we do a 2-hour daily program in the Midlands, the PD, and the Low Country. It's live on Facebook, Twitter, and also on Twitch.tv for you. Tonight, we're running this thing on YouTube. I don't know. I may make my return to YouTube. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, if the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air can come back to television, then I can certainly come back to YouTube. So just a few comments there from Tony Elliott. We'll play a couple of more for you. Big day for Trevor Lawrence, 22 of 28, 351 yards passing, 1 touchdown. He was sacked a couple of times. The first one coming, Tony Elliott mentioned it on that first drive when, as every Tiger fan, I think kind of has these moments when Clemson's had some 3-and-outs early on in games. You kind of go, ooh, what's going on here? Clemson had a nice tempo tonight, better tempo than they've had over the past couple of seasons. Kind of ratcheting that back up just a little bit, and maybe getting a little bit. Maybe this is sort of a maneuver away from Jeff Scott into Tony Elliott and a little bit faster paced offense per se. But I do think when you look at Clemson, and I can't remember if I tweeted this or not. If you don't follow us on Twitter, do that. At Clemson Sports. We try to have fun during the game. We also had a full forum loaded with people tonight over on our website, which was also great to be able to chat with people. And I try to put some things in both places. But Clemson's offense kind of feels like we have cats. I don't know if you're a cat person or if you've ever been around cats, but it's like a cat with a toy. And there are times where I'm not going to call them disinterested, but when they are locked in, they can pretty much toy with anybody, it feels like. I mean, there are moments in that game offensively, and really moments over the past 3 seasons, 4 seasons, however long you want to kind of go back, where you feel like Clemson is always somewhat in control. It's a great feeling if you're a Clemson Tiger fan. It's got to be a bad feeling if you're on the opposite side from Clemson. But here's just a couple of more questions and answers from Tony Elliott, and we'll get you right out to Trevor Lawrence here on Clemson Sports Talk's post-game recap of the Tigers' 37-13 victory up in Winston-Salem. And if you're wondering, like, Swanee, why didn't you go to the game? Nobody outside of the newspapers could go. So we'll be here for you a lot. Now, unless I'm out of town, I'm going to be right here for you post-game. But we will always have you covered over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Here's some more from Tony Elliott.
What did you think of those young running backs that got some opportunities tonight?
It was good to see both of them. I thought Kobe was going to punch one in down there as close as he got, but you're able to see that that he's got a ton of ability. A guy that probably may have got overshadowed a little bit in the recruiting process, but very, very pleased with him. Good to see him get in there in live action. Thought he handled it a little bit better just from being able to get lined up on his own. But DeMarcus is a guy that once you turn the lights on and you put the ball in his hands, he was close to breaking some long ones. So it was good for those guys to get some meaningful experience because again, in this climate, this day and age, they're going to be guys we're going to have to count on at any given moment, down the stretch. So it was good to see those guys. Sure, there's a lot of things that I'll be able to coach up, but having some success and getting an opportunity to take the field is going to be good and give me the opportunity to keep pushing those guys.
Tony, this is Grace Raynor from The Athletic. We talked a lot this offseason about tight ends and you guys getting them more involved. What did you make of the way that you guys really got them involved in the passing game tonight?
I thought they were very productive. Again, and I've said it all along, and I think anybody who's followed this offense knows that we're at our best when we have, the ability to make plays at the tight end position. And I think all of us knew what Braden Galloway is capable of, and he showed up big tonight. But to see Big Davis Allen, catch that ball and stretch the field, and J.C. Chalk, I thought he probably made one of the best catches of the night with that touchdown catch there. So for those guys to have the impact, that we had, obviously at wide receiver we dropped a couple passes, so it was big for those guys to kind of carry it until those guys to get settled in. So when we have guys at the tight end position that can be effective in the blocking game, but then go be a matchup advantage in the passing game, really makes our offense very dynamic.
Hey, Tony, Lawton again. Just looking at Tyson and DJ, what was it that separated DJ that gave him that second string role tonight?
That's a decision that Coach Streeter made. And again, as I told you guys before, that was going to be a Coach Streeter, Coach Sweeney type decision. And I know when you guys did, but, I thought that DJ had a really, really good camp, has really kind of, come to his own in terms of handling the offense, being able to handle all the motions. All the shifts, all the different things that we do, does a really good job at understanding what we want to get accomplished from a protection standpoint with our protection plan. Big arm talent, I think we all know that. So I think at the end of the day, Coach Street will be able to give you more detail as to why he ran out there. But from my perspective, I thought both of those guys had a really, really good camp. It was neck and neck. And again, either one of them could have ran out there. But I would imagine in the meeting room, Coach Streeter must have saw something that he felt like, hey, just gave DJ the slight advantage to go out there first.
So there you go, Tony Elliott addressing the decision to go with DJ Uiagalelei in the backdrop of Trevor Lawrence instead of Tyson Pumachan, who is a redshirt freshman. So two young quarterbacks behind Trevor Lawrence. Pumachan had an interception late in the game when he got into the ball game. You saw some of the arm talent from DJ Uiagalelei. And the comparisons and I think what I will say, I believe that Pumachan and Uiagalelei, this is a very fluid situation. I didn't get to add that to my question. I probably should have, but I think if we do get a chance and when we get a chance to talk with Brandon Streeter, we'll find out a little bit more about that. But here's what your starting quarterback, QB1, number 16, Trevor Lawrence, had to say following Clemson's 37-13 victory up in Winston-Salem tonight.
Talk about how important it was to get off to a good start and kind of get in the rhythm there, Trevor, early in the game like you did.
How you got the good start and how you got in the rhythm early.
Yeah. Well, obviously the first drive, 3 and out, wasn't really what we were looking for. I took a bad sack. Second play, we had a good play dialed up. Mari just slipped, so just didn't really go great the first couple plays. But then after that, we just going to win a little tempo, get in the rhythm, complete a few passes. Took a good shot. I think it was on first down of the second drive. We threw a little post to Amari right there. So that's a good play by him. And then just from there, I felt like we were in a really good rhythm tonight. Played with a great tempo. I think we had 50 plays at halftime, which is pretty impressive. I mean, usually we're looking at, around 70 plays at the end of the game. So to have 50 at halftime is pretty good. And just I felt like our game plan was really, really well executed. I think our coaches did a great job putting us in situations. For the most part, what they did was kind of what we expected, kind of what we planned for. Obviously, with coming off the offseason, you never know what kind of wrinkles will be in there. But for the most part, I think our coaches did an awesome job of having us ready for what they showed us tonight. So it was a lot of fun.
Trevor, what happened on that drop snap near the end zone? Just slip out of your hands there?
Is that what happened on the drop snap?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of hit my hand funny right there. The point kind of hit it, kind of flew off, but just should have caught it. But yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. Wish we could have put it in on that last drive before some of us came out, but it's all good.
Trevor, it kind of looked like you were really taking what the defense was giving you tonight and not forcing throws. Was that sort of your mindset, or was that just kind of how the things played out for you?
I mean, that's just been this whole offseason has been one of my goals is just take what the defense gives me. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try to do too much. And eventually, the big plays will come. Our offense with our coordinators and our coaches and obviously our playmakers, that stuff's going to come. So I've just learned, just trust it, go through my progression, have a really good pre-snap read, see where everyone's at, and then post-snap recognition. Wake Forest did a really good job of changing it up post-snap. So tonight had to be really locked into the safety rotation corner. There was a lot of cat blitz, trap corner, a lot of those things. So they did a good job mixing it up. I just felt like we were really locked into the details tonight, and I think we executed our plan really well. But yeah, I mean, that's been my whole thing is just take what the defense gives me, don't press, and then eventually the big plays will come. So that's what I've been working on for sure.
Trevor Groves, CUTigers.com here. Obviously, the tight end is going to be critical in the passing game this season. We already saw that tonight with several completions you had to bring Galloway, the big completion to Davis Allen. How nice is it to have those options at tight end this season?
It's great. I mean, we've been with Brayton. He came in with me actually, so it's kind of been unfortunate his situation. He lost pretty much the whole year last year, and he played the last 2 games and had, I think he had 60 yards or so in the national championship and played pretty well. But just the way he's worked, put himself in a situation to play really well has been awesome to see. It's definitely been tough playing his freshman year a good bit, and then second year not being able to play at all until the very end. He's really had to stay focused. I think he's done a really good job. And then obviously Davis Allen is a really good player. Those 2 guys are, I mean, you couldn't ask for better, just as far as a dynamic duo at tight end, and then also JC had a big touchdown catch tonight. So
Right.
It was awesome. I think at least three tight ends caught a pass tonight, and it's really good to get them worked into the offense more. It was awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Some of Trevor Lawrence earlier today. By the way, with his 350-plus yard passing performance with 2 rushing touchdowns, he becomes the first Clemson Tiger to pull that off at quarterback since Taj Boyd did it against NC State back in 2012. Again, he was 22 of 28, 351 yards with a touchdown through the air. That touchdown going to J.C. Chalk, the grandson of legendary Alabama Crimson Tide head coach and former head coach of Dabo Sweeney, national championship winning head coach Gene Stallings. So pretty neat to kind of have that correlation still be on Clemson's team. And one of the great things ever, if you've never seen it, is Dabo Sweeney telling the story about when Gene Stallings was going to give him the job, a GA job in Alabama. He said, "Now, Dabo, you run your head up on this. If I hear you say you got this job before I say you got this job, you ain't got this job." It's fantastic. It's really good, really good. And you know, for Lawrence, also his first time ever with 2 rushing touchdowns. So I know they were trying to feed Travis Etienne. I think early on, you know, we can talk about the 1-2 punch for the Heisman Trophy and both of those guys maybe making a run towards it this year. It really felt like kind of early on because the coaching staff knows, and I'm not saying that anybody's got like a pre-planned playbook of can we get both of these guys to the Heisman Trophy. By the way, you can leave your thoughts and comments on the game with us. We'll get to those momentarily. But I do think that in some respects, they were trying to work Travis Etienne the ball down in the goal line, pick up some touchdowns, do some little things. And again, for Travis Etienne, a very special night. 18 100-yard rushing performances in his career. He's as meek and as humble as they come. He started his career with braces on, and you just I could see that smile a mile wide. Who just embraced his role as an upstart freshman with some unbelievable rushes during practice against a stalwart of a defense that made raised eyebrows everywhere, and then to see him stick around, come back for a final season at Clemson, rewriting all the record books, but he goes for over 100 yards again tonight against Wake Forest, 106 on the ground, 102 on the ground, I guess, total, 1 touchdown, all in all for Travis Etienne on 17 attempts. But here's Travis talking this evening after the performance against Wake Forest and Clemson's 37-13 victory in Winston-Salem. Hey, Travis, just thinking back on the performance today and what you guys did totally as an offense there, not just in the first half, but really through the first 3 quarters of play.
It was great being back out there with the guys and everything, but definitely a lot of things we could work on, just execution-wise. Just that first drive, we kind of just came out there and started out kind of slow. Didn't get the start that we really wanted. And but we rallied around that, got our minds right, and we were able to just transform the way that we played the next drive. And it's great. We could do that with the group of guys that we have, but we have to just find a way to where we don't come out with like a slow start and we just come out firing all cylinders. And just grateful that we got opportunity to play. And we definitely have a lot of things to work on, and we're going to keep getting better.
Travis, how much pride do you take in your yards after contact stuff?
Just being back, you take a lot of pride in that. Just trying to make plays for the team, just trying to make the guys right, and just trying to get just be my best for the team. And that's me just getting a couple of yards after contact, helping the team. Then I'm willing to do that and just leave it all out there on the team. And that's just a result of just me just playing out there hard for the guys.
Coach Elliott said that there was one play tonight where he thought you could have gotten some more. Did he talk to you a little bit about that after the game?
Yeah, he got on us. He definitely was a lot of plays that we left out there on the field as a running back group, me especially. I feel I could have. It was 2 or 3 plays where I could have definitely scored, and I kind of didn't. But I have to go watch film, get better, watch my technique, body position, body balance, and then being able to just just get better and just keep getting better and just finding ways to get better and improve my game each and every day.
Travis, did it feel like for you with the weird offseason, the way things went, that you had to ease into the game, or did you feel like you were ready to go right out of the gate?
I definitely had to ease in the game. It definitely had to knock some rust off. Early in the year, didn't know where it was going to head, and then we kept our faith and we just really rallied around each other. But it's different in the game than in practice. It's different. And when you come out here game day, different mentality, and everybody out here playing, so you definitely got to get that first lick to get acclimated, and after that, you're ready to go.
Travis Etienne earlier today talking about his performance at Winston-Salem again in Clemson's 37-13 victory. I asked him about the offensive line. I believe this is the portion of the interview where we got into that. We'll fast forward just a little bit. Full audio will be up on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Like and subscribe. We'd love to have you support us. $63.17. That's right, $63.17. Your Gamecock friends will love that price. Believe me, you could tell them. You say, you know what I pay for my favorite website? $63.17. Here's Travis talking about the offensive line.
Any questions for Travis?
Hey, Travis, I know they didn't get many opportunities tonight, but what did you see from Marcus Bowman and Kobe Pace when they were in there tonight?
Well, Kobe really shocked me. Well, I wouldn't say really shocked me because he's been doing that in practice, but he had a great run. He was just very physical, just running through arm tackles and kind of, I wanted to see him get in the box, but he didn't. But that's a challenge for next week to get in the end zone. And Bowman just flashes of what you see in him. Just him being able to outside runner, just him getting to that outside and how dangerous he could be out there. And he kind of was down on himself. Well, he kind of got shoot any tackle, but it just goes to show you that the time that we have here in the sky's the limit for both of those guys. They got in there, showed you flashes of what's to come. And I mean, the sky's the limit for them. They just buy into the program and just use me as a weapon for them, just getting knowledge and using Coach Elliott. We have C.J. Schmidler here with us. I mean, those guys have the best of both worlds. So, I mean, they just buy into the program and just use those resources. And
interesting to hear Travis talk about the two running backs and the resources, him and C.J. Spiller. And, you know, if you look back and think about what those two guys meant to this program, I mean, it's huge. And I think this is my question to him about the offensive line. Let's see. Travis, you set an all-time mark for 100-yard rushing performances with 18 tonight. That's a Clemson record. But to do it behind pretty much a brand-new offensive line, what does that say about the guys in front of you, and what does that record mean?
That record means a lot to me, and not only to me, but just the Clemson football team, the offensive line. And, I mean, my receivers blocking downfield. And it just goes to show you that we have a great offensive line year in and year out, and us guys up there are willing to leave it all on the field for us. And without them, I wouldn't be able to even have that record and the guys blocking downfield. Especially today, you just go watch film and just kind of replay some of the plays. The receivers blocking downfield, having hell of a blocks, and offensive line just giving it all, having the lanes wide open, and just giving the running backs a chance to go one-on-one with the free safety or the linebacker, whoever was in the hole. So, I mean, it definitely reflects my offensive linemen, and man, without them, there's no way I'd be here talking about this record.
There he is. Without them, there's no way I'd be talking about these records. Well, I got some good news for you. We will have audio coming up here on the show from Dabo Sweeney. We'll also hear from Brent Venables, Mike Jones Jr., and so what I'll ask you to do, if you don't mind, if you have a second, hit the subscribe or the like button or whatever you need to be a part of this post-game reaction, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. If you have never heard of ClemsonSportsTalk.com, I would encourage you to come hang out with us. The most digital content covering your Clemson Tigers, more digital content than anybody else when it comes to covering Clemson. 2-hour daily radio show Monday through Friday that can be heard on the iHeartRadio app. Full podcast editions, multiple other shows that are a part of what we do. Rich Take on Sports, a fantastic podcast for Tiger fans, hosted by Richmond Weaver. We also are carrying in the podcast form the Mark Childress Show and looking to continue to grow our website by bringing more and more Clemson Tiger fans in. Brent Venables earlier today after Clemson's victory over Wake Forest, his defense they don't quit playing. We could talk about the offense when Tyson Pumachan's in and DJ's in and Clemson's up big and they're still throwing the ball around, getting those guys quality reps. Brent Venables sees it the same way. And although they had some coverage issues, I thought, during this ball game, Landon Sanders had some trouble early on. You saw Andrew Booth have some struggles pretty early on. I mean, the secondary, we heard a lot of great things about the secondary during the offseason and how excited Mike Reed was about the group. Obviously today, without Darion Kendrick and a laundry list of other players that didn't make it, I mean, there were 40 people that didn't make it. But remember, they could only take 80. They got a 120-man roster. They could only take 80. There were going to be 40 people out. But, some of those guys were out for reasons that they couldn't travel or whatever other reasons, unbeknownst to us at kickoff. And certainly it's something that a lot of people, I think, were concerned and maybe even worried about to a degree. But the note that came to us at the media said, look, this should not create panic. We weren't going to bring 40 guys anyway. Here's Brent Venables and his comments. Again, I know he had to be frustrated giving up a couple of late scores there to allow Wake Forest to get up to 13 points. But, it's a chance for these guys to learn. Lots of young guys, lots of young talent. I thought the defensive linemen, Brian Brzee and Miles Murphy, were tremendous. Here's Brent Venables following Clemson's victory today over Wake Forest. I think. See?
Hey, Coach, it's David Hood. Best part of tonight being able to play so many young players out there on that defense and get some tape for you to look at.
Yeah, pretty anxious going into this game, just knowing that we had 9 new guys starting their first college game, and so super proud of the guys, man. They really, I thought that group of guys really, again, didn't play perfect. But they didn't need to, really took control of the game in the first half. And when we did have our backs against the wall a few different series, I thought that our guys really responded well in that first half and just really, again, took Wake Forest out of the game with that first group of guys. But then again, in the second half, were able to, I think we played everybody but Sergio Allen as far as defense is concerned. Sergio missed a couple days with a funeral in the family. And wasn't as tuned into the game plan and whatnot, but everybody else played it again the majority of the second half. So a lot of good and plenty of things that we got to get better. Had some guys that didn't play, traveled tonight, and they're an integral part of what we do. And we got a lot of things to get better at for sure. But going on the road, playing against a conference team, against again a very well coached team in Wake Forest, to shut them out in the first half and have a bunch of situational football that's going to be great to teach from, and just some fundamental things that we got to get better and get some guys to play some better technique in situations, better awareness. We have a chance to have a really good unit by the year's end, and those guys up front. I thought the guys up front really played well tonight. In particular, a lot of young guys played, but we had some. Guys like Jordan Williams and Niles Pinckney played well, along with a lot of those freshmen and KJ Henry and Justin Maskell, Reagan Upshaw. Those guys really played well up front, I thought, tonight.
Considering that Darion Kendrick was out, Mario Goodrich didn't make the trip, were you a little concerned about the secondary heading into
just as much as them. We had 9 new guys starting their first college game, so that's a lot of inexperience and being in the moment. But certainly those 2 guys have played different times, especially DK last year, and Mario's got a good role and has played meaningful football as well. So. Those guys are, along with the other guys, are a major part of what we do.
Brent, we saw Brian Brzee with that early half sack. What did you think of his performance overall?
Yeah, excited for him. It's like big puppy dog, big Labrador. You let him outside for the first time, and bring him home for the first time. He's wetting all over the place, and he was great. He's strong and athletic. I think he's offsides first play, so it's classic. But Brian's done well. and those older guys have helped him do well. And along again with really Rook had to come out, but excited about him as well as 2 young defensive tackles that have really looked good in camp. But Brian really did the same things tonight. Certainly was not perfect by any stretch, but did some of the same things tonight that he's done since he's gotten here this last spring.
There you go, Brent Venables, national treasure, if you will, talking about Brian Brzee. I'm pretty sure he said wetting all over the place. Mike Jones Jr., also, of course, his first opportunity to really showcase himself, trying to fill the shoes to a degree that may be unfillable in Isaiah Simmons. I do want to point out, though, one thing that's, I would say to a degree, jumped off of the page at me a little bit, especially late in that ball game as Clemson started to get a little bit deeper into their roster, a little bit deeper into the lineup, and really started to put some different guys out there and kind of watching them work their way in was Kevin Swint, number 14 for Clemson. That kid can move in the open field. On Wake Forest touchdown, he got to the quarterback and hit him, but to see him go from 0 to 100 real quick was really, really impressive to watch. Mike Jones Jr., he was a leader off the field for Clemson during the March for Change. He's been a bigger voice for the Clemson Tigers this year. He, alongside with Cornell Powell, Darian Rencher, and Trevor Lawrence, have really stepped to the forefront of leadership for this program. Here's some of Mike Jones Jr.'s comments briefly here. We'll get you to KJ Henry momentarily. If you're watching, share, subscribe, like, and do all of that fancy stuff. We'll also get your questions and comments. We got 13 of them in there right now to get to.
Now we've got Mike Jones Jr. Go ahead and ask questions when ready.
Hey, Mike, David Hood with TigerNet. That first starting experience, was it everything that you thought it would be? And how much fun was it to kind of just get out there and let everything loose for the first time as a starter?
Man, it was. I would say, yeah, it was everything I thought it would be, man. And it all like come back to like, man, it's just football. And so I am not gonna lie, I've been nervous like all week. My mama and my parents told me they've been nervous, man. I got out there and I was just like, wow, I'm just playing the game I love, and just being out there with your teammates, man, and just the atmosphere, just just being able to play the game right now, all this stuff going on, man. It was great, man. I'll never forget this day.
And it's funny because Tony Elliott said that. I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, kind of doing everything that we've done tonight, full coverage over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. We put out, I think we published before the game today, 10 stories. I mean, their site's dropping some of the most ludicrous nonsense that you could ever imagine being posted about your Clemson Tigers on a game day. We're posting the legit stuff, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Come join us, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. But here's the thing. Tony Elliott said he told the offense, he said, look, man, this is like Little League. No fans. Just get after it. Have fun. It's taking you back to the beginning of your playing experience. You can hear it and see it and feel it in Mike Jones Jr.'s voice. Here's one more question and answer from Mike Jones. We'll roll along to KJ Henry right after this.
Start or not, this was just a great day, great game, fun game, and I have fun playing today.
See what I mean about the questions? It's like an hour.
Mike, how impressed were you with some of those younger players on the defensive front and how they played tonight?
Oh, man, I'm not as impressed because I done seen them do it for a little while now. I've seen them in practice over and over. Them guys, they put in the work, they put in the time, man, and they're just doing what they do now. Like I said, it's just football out there. And whether it's high school or college football, it's the same. And you just seen that translate over to the field for them, man. And, I wasn't surprised. I knew they were going to come out here and ball today.
All right, so there's some of Mike Jones Jr. He says he wasn't as impressed as everybody else because he's seen those guys. He knows what those guys can do. We got KJ Henry coming up, and then we'll wrap things up here tonight on the Clemson Sports Talk post-game reaction show. We're going to try to put these together as much as we can. We do a 2-hour daily show, if you didn't know about it already, in the Midlands on Fox Sports Radio 1400 and the PD on Sports Radio 100.1 The Fan in Florence, and we're on 920 AM in Manning. Both shows, the whole shebang on the iHeartRadio app, 4 to 6 in the middle and 6 to 8 in the PD in the low country. Podcasted, the full website, everything you could possibly want. KJ Henry here after tonight's victory over Wake Forest up in Winston-Salem.
That's how you going to start it off?
Wow. There we go. All right.
Can I ask a question? I have a question for KJ Henry. KJ Henry, how did it feel coming home and playing a game and not being able to have your mother and father and your siblings here at the game? What was the emotional impact for you?
Honestly, it was kind of sad.
That's Mike Jones, by the way, asking.
Game. I was really excited to get this opportunity to start for the first time. I was hoping to see them out there, supporting me for my first one. But it is what it is, and I'll see them next week. So I'll make it through.
Thank you. Good luck on the season.
Now to some real reporters, please.
Hey, KJ, it's David Hood. How much fun was it to get that early, sack and stop in your hometown? Yeah, the parents weren't there, but what does it mean to be able to get that first sack out there?
It was just so much fun just to be back on the field, let alone obviously make a big play early. I just was happy to be out here with the guys and have an opportunity to play ball. Obviously, that's not the case for a lot of athletes in America right now. So just fortunate and wanted to take advantage of it. But definitely, I got a text from my mom last night, and she was just talking about how it's kind of crazy how God works. Just 12 years of my life spent on the other sideline cheering for the Demon Deacons. And surely enough, that's where my first start comes in this very same stadium on the opposing sideline. So I think it's just funny how God works in mysterious ways. And I knew he was going to bless me here tonight in some way. So it was kind of good that it happened early.
How much fun was it to be a part of that defensive line, which had so much success tonight, especially, a lot of those younger guys getting out there and getting their first chance to play?
Right. It was a great time. Obviously, we weren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, for a first game, what you look for is just the energy and the competitiveness. And I think for sure that's what they brought, to the defensive line and really just all of us collectively. That was exciting to see. And like I said, obviously it wasn't perfect. We got some things to clean up for sure. But it was definitely nice to know that these guys come with the right mindset and willingness to work and get after it every day. And I'm glad if they showed up for them as well, because obviously your first game as a young guy, it can be a little hectic. So I was glad they got the jitters out early, got to make some plays and get known, let America know them, you know what I'm saying?
Let America know them. I think America knows the name all too well. Brian Brzee, Miles Murphy, those guys were disruptive in the middle. All right, so Dabo Sweeney, your questions. We'll hit your questions first, then we'll get to Dabo Sweeney here on the post-game wrap-up show, if you will. Let's see what we've got. What are my thoughts on Dabo playing 78 guys tonight? They took 80, got 78 of them in. I'm all about that action, boss. I mean, that's what you're looking for when it comes down to getting your team ready to roll, not just for next week, but for 6 games down the schedule, for 10 games down the schedule, and for the postseason. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great question, but it is one of those things that Clemson prides itself on. And let me tell you where else that sells. Recruiting, Clemson FB. Recruiting. Let's see. Jenny says, I'm sick of Clemson. Oh. Jenny, I know people are getting tired of the Tigers.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
But I don't think they're going anywhere. So what's the old what did Ric Flair used to say back in the day? If you don't like it, is that what it was? Learn to love it, because it's the best thing going today.
And I'm saying, woo, right here.
Thanks, Nate.
Woo!
Anytime. Beth says, great game, still areas for improvement, but they look solid. Beth, you are all over it. Let's see. Tim drops by and says, go Tigers. Weta says she likes having this rundown after the game. She may be biased. She's my sister. She also says she adores Travis Etienne. Humble humble. Like when people, when people say, why is Clemson successful? It's guys like Travis Etienne. Now, he wasn't a former 5-star recruit, but his attitude and his mindset is about getting better every single day. Let's see. Jonathan just gives me a shout out. What up, Jonathan? Appreciate you, buddy. Greg says, we threw it to the tight end, right? Right? We threw it to the tight end, something that hadn't happened, it feels like, in eons. As a matter of fact, we started Clemson Sports Talk 3 seasons ago. Maybe the articles would have been from 4 seasons ago. Like if we were talking about like getting ready for the year, it was like, what Clemson's got to do is find a replacement for a guy like Jordan Leggett. We could have written that article. We could have published that same article the past 3 seasons. It hadn't happened. Mylan Richard didn't pan out. It just hasn't happened the way Clemson really needs it to happen. Braden Galloway with 5 receptions on the day for 60 yards. Amazingly, Trevor Lawrence nailed it. He was asked about Braden Galloway. He said, yeah, I think he had like 60 yards in the 2 games he played in the college football playoff a year ago. I think that number was spot on, right on the money, by the way. Galloway with 5 receptions for 60 yards with a long of 25. You had Davis Allen, big number 84, with a 42-yard reception in the game. And then we mentioned J.C. Chalk's 12-yard touchdown reception, the only touchdown reception of the day. Trevor Lawrence just throwing the 1, but he did throw for 351 yards, rushed for 2 touchdowns. The first quarterback to do that since back in 2012 when that was done against NC State by Taj Boyd. Trevor Lawrence was 22 of 28 for 351. Johnny says, Swanee After Dark. Going to be here a lot, man. I'm having a good time. I hope you are. And remember, ClemsonSportsTalk.com, more digital content than any other Clemson site. As a matter of fact, just to keep proving that point, I didn't change my banners. I'm so sad. I get disappointed. The most digital content covering your Tigers. Just to prove that point, I'm going to take this video and I'm going to upload it as well. Yeah. Another hour's worth of stuff. I told my buddy Rob Sanders. He wrote me. He was like, Swanee, you going live? I wrote, and I texted him. I said, yeah, man, it'll probably be 10 minutes. But then I get in here and I get the juice, man. I get the juice. I'm like the kids on the gridiron. I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's go 2 hours. Let's do it. Let's dive in deep. Here's Dabo Sweeney following number 1 ranked Clemson's victory tonight over Wake Forest. And again, I think it's, the margin, I thought it'd be about 55-17. I thought Wake would do more offensively, I'll be honest. Got some garbage points late. I thought they would put up some points a little bit early. That would get Clemson moving a little bit, get them off to a little, not necessarily a faster start, but maybe a more aggressive start, and Clemson would pull away. Clemson sort of like I had to see in my son's soccer match today. I think Clemson sort of throttled it back a little bit. I'm not saying they, that they changed up the play calling. They throttled it back by the depth of talent they put in, playing 78 players and giving everybody opportunities. They didn't have to dial back the playbook. What happened is they dialed back the talent. They dialed back the knowledge base. And they dialed back the advantage that they had. And so, there's nothing wrong with that because these guys are growing. All right, here's Dabo Sweeney after the game tonight.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. We're being joined now by Clemson head coach Dabo Sweeney. We will turn it over to him for opening comments, then we'll leave the line open for questions. Whenever it comes time to ask questions, if you'll do us a favor, A, please turn your video on, and B, please announce your name and affiliation prior to your question. So with that, we will turn it over now to Coach Sweeney.
Okay, thank you, Ross. Well, just a special night. This has been a part of a lot of great games, a lot of openers, but this is a game that hopefully I can coach many more years, but this is one that I'll never forget. Truly special to be a part of it. The focus and the mental toughness that it took to get to this point is special. And man, just really proud of our team. When I got the job 12 years ago, we set our goals out. One was to win the opener. We're 11-1 in our openers, and I'm really proud of that. And that's the credit to our strength conditioning, how we train, and then how we do camp, how we prepare. I was really impressed with our team tonight. We and a couple miscues early, but so proud of our guys, especially our first groups. Thought they played really, really well, and just fun to see us play. But we'll get better. Great teams get better. And we got a lot of things on tape, a lot of situations that sometimes take 4 or 5 games to pop up in games. We got a lot of work that's going to help our team. And we got to play a lot of people. We played 78 out of the 80 that made the trip. And that's going to help us because, you don't know what you think you know, but until you go play and kind of get exposed a little bit, sometimes it becomes a little more real than practice. And we got a lot of guys that are going to be really good players for us, but if we had needed them to win the game tonight, they weren't quite ready. And again, sometimes you got to be exposed a little bit to see the light. And so I think we're going to have an enormous amount of growth from our backups. And but as far as our frontline guys, man, they were ready to play. They played really, really well. We had a few miscues, a few missed plays here and there, but offensively 561 total yards. And, Trevor set an all-time record passing for opener. Travis Etienne had his 18th 100-yard game. That's a record. Just a tremendous effort all across the board. Lots of guys touched the ball. Our tight ends, just so good to see Braden Galloway, back out there. And again, we spread the ball around, got all those backs in there. It was good to see that. And then defensively, you saw those, Brzee and Miles Murphy showed up pretty quick. I knew they would. We played a bunch of guys on defense, and a lot of those guys got exposed a little bit, some of those backups. But I'm excited because I know the type of young players they are and how much it means to them. And this is going to help them get better. But having 6 sacks is impressive. And a bunch of guys, man, Vontae Bentley, Brzee, Murphy, KJ, I think Spector had one, and Reagan Upshaw. It's fun to see Reagan, get his opportunity to play meaningful snaps. I think he's finally in the right position. He's really developed into a football player now, and he's got some good stuff to him that's going to be able to help our team. And then BT, BT set the record for PATs. He's 90 for 90 and, hit a 42-yarder or a 52-yarder. But again, a lot of good situational work. The minute drive, we had some get the ball back defense. So a lot of good things that came up that we can teach from. And but just super proud of our guys to come on the road and, get your first road win and an ACC win. It's special. But I'm just, grateful for the moment. And, again, thankful for all the people who helped get us to this point safely. I mean, it's been an enormous, unbelievable undertaking, what we have managed, this summer. And to be at this point, man, that was a happy locker room. And, just excited to get back to work with them and hopefully continue to grow up a little bit. And our schedule sets up well. We've got a game next week at home. We'll be excited to play at home, and then an open date. Again, just giving us more time to get our team, developed and ready to go to hopefully, make a good, strong run. But awesome night. And with that, I'll take your questions.
All right, we'll get to Dabo Sweeney's question. We'll get to Dabo Sweeney's questions momentarily. Want to get a couple of score updates with everything that's really going on in the world of college football, because it was a wild and crazy day. So, Clemson, final score 37-13 may not be, jump off the page at people, but I think what we definitely learned is that with this college football season being what it is, with very few fans in attendance, there may not be quite as much pop in the arena. Oklahoma, the number 5 ranked Sooners today, 48-0 over Missouri State. Notre Dame and Duke, it was 10-6 at the half. Of course, Duke being led by former Clemson Tiger quarterback Chase Bryce. 27-13, the number 10 ranked Fighting Irish knock off the Duke Blue Devils. As a matter of fact, that game was 17-13 heading into the fourth quarter. So the Fighting Irish win it 27-13. Texas, the 14th ranked Longhorns, 59-3 over UTEP. North Carolina, that was a game that was 7-3 at the half. It was 10-6 at the end of the third quarter. North Carolina scores 21 points in the fourth quarter to win it 31-6. The Tar Heels ranked number 18 in the nation and did not look good for 3 quarters of that game. And Syracuse had some opportunities that they let slip through their fingers. Number 23, Iowa State. The Big 12 had a terrible. It's like the Big 12 thought that they weren't playing. Like, hey, guys, it was the Big 10 that backed out. It was the Pac-12. It wasn't the Big 12. You guys were supposed to be ready. Iowa State, the 23rd ranked Cyclones, they lose to Louisiana Lafayette. The Raging Cajuns, 31-14. App State beat Charlotte 35-20. That game was 21-20 at one point. The Mountaineers scored 14 in the fourth quarter, 35-20 the final score there. West Virginia, another set of Mountaineers, 56-10 over Eastern Kentucky. Also, you had Arkansas State 35-31, another loss for the Big 12. Kansas State getting beat at home in Manhattan where social distancing was not at a premium. 35-31, Arkansas State gets the big upset victory. Army, they're now 2-0 on the season, 37-7 over Louisiana Monroe. And then you had UT San Antonio, UTSA, beating Texas State 51-48 in a shootout in overtime. Florida State and the Seminoles get dropped by Georgia Tech in their season opener, 16-13. Kudos to Jeff Collins and the Yellow Jackets for going down to Tallahassee and coming away with a 16-13 victory, scoring 9 points in the second half. All of Georgia Tech's points came in the second half. To put that into perspective, too, there were 2 lightning delays in that game. Clemson and Wake Forest bumped Florida State and Georgia Tech off of ABC to ESPN2. To think that the Tigers are where they are, like if I had a time machine, like Marty McFly, that I could jump into and go back to talk to Swanee 10 years ago. And he told me that Clemson was going to bump Florida State. I would say, are you what? No, it can't happen. It happened today, and Florida State got bumped off of the gridiron by Georgia Tech 16-13. Bad offensive line performance for the Seminoles. Georgia Southern squeaks by the Campbell Camels 27-26. It was South Florida and Coach Jeff Scott getting their first victory of the season, and Jeff Scott's first win as a head coach collegiately, 27-6 over the Citadel, the team the Tigers will play next Saturday. That game had a weird touchdown, too. A bad snap for the Citadel in the end zone. The punter tries to punt it. He barely gets a piece of it after scooping it up, and it sort of dribbles off into the air and is caught by a South Florida Bull in the end zone for a touchdown. Completely bonkers. It'll be a play of the day somewhere, I guarantee you. Tulane knocked off South Alabama 27-24. Louisville, the Cardinals are now 1-0 after defeating Western Kentucky 35-21. Texas Tech knocked off Houston Baptist 35-33. Pittsburgh walloped Austin Peay. The Governors are now 0-2. Pittsburgh 55, Austin Peay 0. And then you also have a game underway right now in Manhattan, Kansas. Another Big 10 team, a Big 12 team in a lot of trouble as Coastal Carolina and the Chanticleers are on the road and up 35-23 with a minute and 23 seconds left. Some controversy, if you will, about an offsides call on an onside kick. If you're down 12 points and that's what you're whining about, you got bigger things to worry about, Jayhawks, as the Chanticleers are looking to win their second consecutive game against Kansas, I believe. Here's the final little bit of the show tonight. Again, the Clemson Sports Talk post-game recap. We'll try to do this every week when possible for you to kind of give you the highlights and the insights from the Clemson Tigers as they come off of the field of play, and again, following their 37-13 victory over Wake Forest. Here's Coach Sweeney's some follow-up questions with him.
Line is open for questions.
Dabo, this is Matt with the State. Just what was the entire day like and kind of leading up to the game? And then once the ball was kicked off, did it kind of feel like just a typical football game?
Yeah. Well, the day was, just normal for us. I mean, it was a it was a different experience at the hotel, that's for sure. Just because of how we had to do things, but we made it work. And everybody just, we've always had a lot of servant leadership in our program, but man, I got a chance to see it firsthand on this trip. Just seeing everybody step up and have to perform, different roles and things. And, we literally served every meal to our players, our staff. We served them, because there was no staff to do that. We had to break down and set up. Usually we had multiple meeting rooms. Well, we couldn't do that because of the social distance. You have to have one huge room, and it's got to be the room for everything. So you got to eat there, you got to meet there, you got to walk through there, we did our movie there. So it was a very unique setup, but everybody embraced it, and our staff just did an amazing job to create as much normalcy as we could. But once we got on the bus and we headed to the park, man, listen, it's time to play. I knew we were ready. The mindset of our team was right where it needed to be, and I thought Wake Forest did a really good job of trying to create, as much of an atmosphere as they could with no fans. But yeah, once we kicked it off, I mean, we're always so locked in. It's really, as a coach, really just don't notice that stuff. You're just so locked into what you're doing and caught up into the game and the strategy of the game that, it just seemed just like football. It was as normal as ever. It was weird to be able to hear a little bit more than what you normally would be, but it was a great experience. And again, I'm just thankful for the opportunity.
Hey, Dabo, Josh from the Post-Courier. After all the uncertainty about if we even get to this point, I mean, what did it feel like when you were finally there on the sideline and the game had started?
It was emotional. It really was. It just, listen, man, I mean, this is what we love to do. I mean, this is not just a job. I mean, this is our passion. This is what we love to do. It's hard work, but I don't consider it work. I mean, this is our passion. Coaches love to coach. Everybody who's a part of the program, they love what they do. Our players love to play. And, nobody had to be here. Everybody could have quit. Everybody could have walked away. Everybody could have gone, coaches, players, everybody. But man, everybody kept the faith. And, here we are. And it was a special and emotional night. It really was. And to just see these guys, their love for one another, it's just amazing. And it just gives you so much hope, when you see the type of young people that we have in our program. It's a beautiful thing.
Dabo Sweeney there talking about the Clemson Tigers. He was asked about the performance of Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. Here's what Coach had to say on that front.
I think Trevor, again, it's the all-time passing record for an opener. And, I think he played maybe 2 series in the third quarter. And again, listen, I mean, we had control of the game, and we needed to play. We needed to play those linemen. We've got to grow some guys up. Those quarterbacks, we needed to play some guys. And I knew it was probably going to get a little sloppy, but man, that's going to make our team better. But Trevor was amazing. I mean, he really was. And we had a couple big drops early. The first series, it was a little funky. Amari fell down on a little outcut, and we had that. And then Trevor, probably the worst play of the night was him taking that terrible sack. That was a bad play. But he really, right after that, he just came back and got right back in rhythm. And that's what you want to see from a veteran player. He made a bonehead mistake. He knew it when he came over there trying to, again, hold the ball a little too long. But, man, he responded, and he threw some great balls. Again, we dropped a couple touchdowns tonight, so we'll get better from that. But he made some great throws, really great decisions in our run game and play action game. Made a couple nice runs. So it was special. And then Travis was just Travis. I mean, we wanted to get him, some really good work tonight. I think he may have had about 20 touches, something like that. So really good night for him. He was involved in the passing game and had some good yards after the contact. There was a couple of times, I thought he was a step away from scoring. But good to see him get, 100 plus yards and get in the end zone and again, just get a good night's work. But both those guys were, they were awesome.
Both of those guys were awesome, the words of Dabo Sweeney. So Tyler Davis got banged up in the game. Here's what Coach Sweeney had to say about Davis.
Hate on him.
Yeah, I don't. He's one of them. He walked off pretty good. So, hopefully it's nothing serious. But, they'll check him out tomorrow.
And the final thing from Dabo and from Clemson Sports Talk tonight, he was asked about if any of the player absences today were discipline related.
An injury.
Just all unavailable. That's it.
Just all unavailable. All right, look, thank you. We went over an hour. I didn't expect to go an hour. We do 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, Clemson Sports Talk. JQ Hall, Jonathan says, no get-back coach for Coach Venables? That's a good question. Was that guy still employed? I know you guys, everybody took pay cuts. What happened to the get-back guy? I didn't see him. Go ahead and like and subscribe so you don't miss us if we go live. And when we go live, we do a 2-hour daily radio show, Monday through Friday, in the Midlands, the PD, and the Low Country. If you don't know anything about us, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Wheaton wants to know what I think about DJ. He looked very poised. Yeah, I thought he looked sharp. I mean, as good as a freshman can look in that situation. Didn't lead, to any points on the board for Clemson. But, yeah, I think if you're a kid like that, those opportunities will pay off down the road. Those opportunities will pay off down the road. And, next week's game against the Citadel will be, that'll be rough for fans watching and for the Citadel playing. Be another great chance for those guys to get some opportunities for sure. But thank you for hanging out. Hit the like, subscribe, whatever the button is that you got to hit wherever you are. Again, the most digital content covering your Clemson Tigers is on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. We are growing every day, and we are excited to have you be a part of it. Let's see. Bent Zero hit us up on Twitter and said, great to see the Tigers on the field again. Trevor made it look easy, poised to have a great year. Secondary needs some work, though. Getting Darion Kendrick back will help for sure. Mario Goodrich will help for sure. We kind of wrote about the secondary being a big bright spot for Clemson coming into the season. It was surprising to see them struggle, but you had two guys down. And remember, those two guys were listed as co-starters on opposite sides. So if you thought, Andrew Booth wasn't impressive as I had hoped, the good news is Mario Goodrich, is one of those guys that Clemson's going to count on. If you look at the other side, Lee Anthony Williams, good news. Darion Kendrick is somebody Clemson, wants to be able to count on. What was frustrating, I think, more so than anything, is Dabo Sweeney's answer there. What were their suspensions about? It wasn't a confirmation of anything in particular, which I think you'd rather hear. Yeah, they banged up. Yeah, they're out because of the protocol. Like the protocol is the new word. Maybe there was a suspension, but we didn't find out about it if it was. Yeah, there you go. Johnny Mack. That's exactly. Not crazy about that, but dodging the missing players question. Yeah, that didn't leave you all warm and fuzzy. Made you go, what happened then? I mean, I prefer him say, they're just, I'd rather him say there's just a couple guys are being stupid, a couple guys are sick, and we can't travel everybody. So, there you go. All right, we're getting out of here. Thank you for hanging out. Head over to the website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. We'll be getting more stuff loaded throughout the night. What is it, 2 a.m.? It'll be a late one, but they always are during the college football season. As always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers.